But I just want to say hello to everybody and to thank you for coming to this free Inform Your Community of Craftivism event. My name is Jake. I am wearing a pink shirt with a blue background, and closed captioning is enabled and can be turned on by participants. So here at Inform Your Community, we offer events that combine important, impactful information with having fun. You can visit us at our website at www.informyourcommunity.org. You can find our social media links on the bottom of that website, and you can tell your friends to sign up for our mailing list on the top right of our website. And of course, you can donate using our donate link also at the top right of the page. If you're watching the recording of this video, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment on YouTube. It really helps us out. And we love to hear what you think of our crafts events and to see your finished projects on social media. So the event is part of our Craftivism program where adults learn different art techniques while discussing relevant social issues. As a reminder, Craftivism is our adult crafting program and not intended for children. We have a Celebrate and Create program that is more intended for children. And today's topic is suicide prevention. So this topic is clearly an important one for us to discuss. Most of us don't know that 12.2 million Americans have seriously thought about suicide, 3.2 million have planned a suicide attempt, and 1.2 million have attempted suicide. The LGBTQ plus community is particularly at risk with a 42% rate. And it is important to remind everyone here that we are not therapists nor doctors, but we can provide resources to those who are able to act in that capacity if needed. Our co-facilitator today is Tyler. Tyler is a certified QPR gatekeeper, which is a suicide prevention method, and has been an advocate for mental health since their early high school years. So welcome, Tyler. We're very happy to have you today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And I will also be helping out with tech issues and helping monitor the chat. If anyone has any questions that are not addressed, I'll make sure that they get addressed. And throughout the craft, if you have any questions or comments on the craft or the topic, please feel free to either unmute yourself or talk or write in the chat. And we love to see your work in progress, so feel free to show your project to the camera as you make it and when it's complete. I'd like to take a moment to introduce our crafter, Stacey. Stacey will help us with learning our art technique today, which is altered books. So Stacey, would you mind telling us a little more about the technique we're learning today?
Yes, sure. Hi, Jake. I'd love to. Welcome, everyone. My name is Stacey. My pronouns are she and her. I am a white woman with curly brown hair. My shirt is green. My background is blurred today. So today we are learning a very basic altered book technique. This art technique is meant to remind us that writing is a form of self-care. It is important to know our own mental health triggers. Writing and some form of crafting are both very cathartic experiences. So I was hoping to blend the two for you together and incorporate the two, and hoping that you will find this craft a very cathartic experience for you if and when it is ever needed. And the best thing is this craft doesn't need much to complete. So I'd be happy to show you how to do it. So before we begin, I just want to let everybody know what they will need for this craft. So everyone is going to need scissors, a thick black marker, a black ballpoint pen. If you have black, we'll start off with black as preferred. Optional highlighters in multiple colors, and glue is optional. If you have our kit, you can go ahead and take that out now. Everyone has in our kit a two-sided template, which is, sorry, gotta find the template. The two-sided template is a heart or a butterfly shape. You have 4 sheets of book pages, 2 from book sources, a book of Abraham Lincoln's words, such as speeches, etc., and a book of sports stories. You have also a sheet of contact paper that we'll be using. You have 3 string types in a baggie. Inside that also is embellishments, 3 different ones, and 3 different types of strings: raffia, paper twine, fabric ribbon. and 2 plastic butterfly jewels and a wood heart sticker. If you don't have our kit, these are some items that you can gather if you're following along either later on or this evening from home. If you have newspaper clippings, a book that you can rip out the pages, a magazine article, all of them with plenty of words on it, as you see here, and preferably like close together. If you have a piece of cardboard, a paper plate, something to make a template that you can cut a shape out of if you wish. Optional is something to draw a template, like maybe a cookie cutter, if you don't want to draw a shape freehand. Some string, some ribbon, or some yarn, any type of embellishments that you may have. Clear packaging tape or any transparent tape in a pinch is going to work for you as well. And that should be all that you would need if you're gathering items from home. While you're taking out your materials and before we begin, I just want to point out a few things. So I'd like for you to decide what form you would like your end result to be. So would you like it to be a heart? Would you like it to be the butterfly? Do you want to freehand a design? Do you want to use a shape? These are all things to think about as you're gathering your materials. Whether you do or don't have our kit, you may choose to not draw a design at all and rip rip a book page. And I'll show you a little later on what that would look like as well. And not to draw a template on. Decide if you want a more dramatic look using marker, or would you like to use your ballpoint pen for a softer look? Give some thought to how you want your end result to look. Do you want to cross out all unwanted words on your altered page? Or do you want them to stand out a little more dramatically and use the marker? Do you want to use colored highlighters? So those are things to think about. This is an example of an altered page with a butterfly, and that is the less dramatic effect by circling our wanted words. Just to give you an idea, this is a crossed out and highlighted and somewhat circled design that we'll be using. So those are some thoughts for you to think about. So we'll be sharing some important information with you about suicide prevention today, right after we go over some important steps in the craft. So first, if you could just pick your template that you would like to use. And we're going to decide if you want to use your butterfly or your heart or anything you're using at home, or if you're going to freehand. And after cutting it out, we're going to place that to the side. So we can begin cutting out our template now. And Tyler, while our crafters are cutting out the template design, can you share some information, some history on this topic for us?
Yeah, so it's super interesting because all the way back in 1600, over 400 years ago, was the first time that in the production of Shakespeare's Hamlet that Ophelia committed suicide. But even though the idea of mental health and suicide has been around for a very long time, it wasn't openly discussed until like many cultures don't even still openly discuss it, but the National Mental Health Act wasn't even passed until 1946. So you've got from 1600 all the way to 1946 before mental health even got on the federal government's radar.
Wow, that's quite a gap in time. What resources would you recommend for mental health and suicide prevention?
So there are definitely a whole bunch of different resources. One of the ones established in 2005 was the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which has saved millions of lives. There's also the National Alliance on Mental Illness, referred to as NAMI, and there are a bunch of different crisis text lines and things out there. There are some specific to veterans, some specific to the LGBT community, and as always, there is 988, which is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline.
Wow, great, thank you. I'm actually, I'm definitely intrigued to hear more on this after checking in with our crafters and moving us along to the next step. So after you've cut out your template, we're going to put that to the side right now. Now we are going to choose our book page. So of your choices that you chose at home or of the choices in our kit, you can take those out. So take a look at the pages in front of you. You can pick a page randomly to alter. Or you can give each page a quick glance over, see if some words just quickly like stand out to you. It's kind of like one of those games where they say, what 5 words do you see off the top of right off the bat? And if your book pages are stuck together, that's just the binding. You just peel them off because you want them to be single sheets for sure. So what I want you to know is there's no stress here at all. Do words pop out at you, preferably close in proximity to each other? Think about the size of your template choice because that's where the words are going to be fitting in there. Think of the shape you may want if you're going to freehand a shape, or are you going to be ripping? You are the new author of this page. Just let the words jump out at you. They don't have to make a complete sentence. They can be just a few powerful words. So those are just some tips. And then once you're ready, you can begin to alter your page. So again, this is where whether you're joining live or watching the video replay, you may choose to just watch me for this step and then follow along. And when you're ready to jump in, start marking yours. So you're going to take your pen or your marker or your highlighter, and you're going to begin to just find some words that you would like to alter, and you're going to circle them, highlight them, cross them out, cross out unwanted words. The end result, basically what you're looking to do, the end result should be the words that you intend to stand out on your altered page. Here is where the designing that I had given you some thought to think about earlier will come into play. You may also, again, like I said, want to grab your cut template and just make sure some of the words that are popping out at you fit inside that template for you. Just hover the template over the area. We're not going to worry about the template just yet. Spoiler alert, though, we will be doing that in the next steps after we've chosen some of our words. So here I have, if you can see that, I'm choosing to put a box around my words. And actually a good thing too is if you find a word that is like past tense, like if it's color and it's colored and that word you want to take out the ed at the end, just make a little darker line over some of the unwanted letters there. So as we move along here, so while we are working on highlighting our important words, Tyler, I was hoping you could give us some insight on how you think we as a community can help others going through mental illness.
Yeah, so information is one of the best resources that can help people, especially when it comes to mental illness. Even just looking up statistics can bring you insight into what someone or even what you may yourself be experiencing. For example, knowing that the top 3 commonly diagnosed mental disorders in the United States are anxiety disorders, depressive disorder, and bipolar disorder is important to help understand that mental illness looks different for everybody. And as we increase our awareness further, we understand, for example, that the risk of suicide is increased when these co-occur with substance dependence.
So sometimes it's not obvious that someone is going through something. So what should we be mindful of?
So as a community, we can definitely increase awareness of the various resources I mentioned earlier, such as 988, the Crisis Lifeline, and the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And although we associate suicide with young people because that's what we see represented in the media, we can also be mindful of the fact that 35 to 45-year-olds, as well as people over 85, also do have higher rates of suicide. And some people associate suicide with self-harm, but they can also relate to different issues and refer to behaviors used by people with extreme mental health problems who don't have other ways to cope. So I do like that we're doing this craft because it is another way of like an outlet, a healthy coping mechanism. Um, and to remember that there are over 200,000 emergency visits between the ages of 10 and 24 years due to self-harm, and the rates of girls or young women is twice as high as boys or young men. If you do notice someone with something like a butterfly on their wrist or a semicolon tattoo, knowing that that is an important meaning that a life has not ended, as would be represented by a period, it is continuing, which is because a semicolon is where a sentence could have ended but did not.
Wow. That's super powerful symbol. That's a very super powerful symbol. Thank you for that insight on the semicolon tattoo. I never knew that, and I just learned something new. So thank you so much. Before we learn some more important facts, let's check in with our crafters and continue on with the next step. How's everyone doing with their words? If there's any questions, please put them in the chat, and I hope you're all following along. Great. So let's move on to our next step. So we are going to now trace the template onto the book page. So before you complete this step, you do want to make sure, again, that the words you've chosen do fit inside the template of your choice. If they do not fit, as mentioned before, stay tuned, and I'm going to show you a workaround. So if that's the case, then just hold off and I will show you a workaround to as an alternate way to do. So you're going to take your template and just draw around your words and making sure to cover the entire area of the words that you chose. Because as you can tell, this is going to get cut out as well. So my words are within my heart template. Trace the template, as I said, onto there with your pen. And then you're going to cut the pattern out with your scissors. The important thing to remember here is that you are capturing the area, like I said, I hope you can all see that, of the words, and that you're not cutting them out totally with the template. If you find that your design, the words that you've chosen just do not fit the template here that you want to use, here is where you may choose to just have ripped jagged edges and not use the template now. You can use it for a craft later on when you want to do this craft again. And this is why I choose to have you alter the page first and not draw the template on and then choose words, because you're not bound to just the words inside your templated area. So I just wanted you to see that you can use words anywhere on the page that you chose. So if you find that the words fell outside of your template, simply rip your book page. So you would just take your page and rip it in any pattern that you want in and make like a circle or just keep it a square. And rip pages give a nice antique look also. So that could be another idea that you have for a design that you're choosing. Maybe you like straight lines instead. You can use your scissor, or you can choose to make a fold, a nice rough fold like this, use your nails, and then fold the page over and firmly like rip it with your fingers. So it does somewhat give it a nice jagged edge there too. So you can, those are choices that you have. While we work on our design and ripping and cutting, Tyler, I was hoping you could give us some more important facts.
Yeah, for sure. So there are a bunch of things that can help with mental health, such as being aware of your triggers, making friends, going to therapy, being physically active, engaging in hobbies or activities that you enjoy, journaling, using feelings wheels, making sure you give yourself a break when you need it, And these things all help. And speaking with mental health professionals especially helps with talking about emotions, behaviors, and relationships to better understand and improve your overall mental health and well-being. And they give you different tools and strategies through whichever kind of therapy it is, such as talk therapy, creative art therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, or even taking medication. And all these things combined or separate can assist with just developing better strategies to okay, go ahead. Sorry. To 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 handle like any sort of event that may trigger your mental illness if you have one, like while it's happening or as or before it happens or right after it's happened. Like it helps you prepare yourself, or if you come across
Mhm.
somebody else who may be going through it as well.
Great. So you mentioned the word trigger. I was hoping you could advise us on the meaning of what a trigger is in relation to mental health.
Yeah, of course. So a trigger is something external that reminds you of a prior traumatic experience. It usually invokes a reaction. It's often subconscious and automatic, so you don't always know that it's about to happen. Just kind of happens.
Yes, I can absolutely call to mind situations that actually gave me like less desirable feelings that where I was triggered. So yeah, thank you for defining that for us. Um, so here I was just showing an example too of how you can black out instead, as you can see, like words that I would want. And it doesn't have to be huge, your area. I'm just gonna rip out a small piece. Okay, so we'll save that. So I would like to move you along to the next step. But before we continue, I just want to show you some more examples and explain some options for you. Again, you have options on how to cover your altered book page. So here, okay, they have, we're going to be covering the book, the altered book page with contact paper, like here in the example, if you can see. This has a shiny coating on it, so there is some contact paper over this, and that's where the embellishments are sticking nicely onto. So some of your options on how to proceed are you can leave the contact paper completely square, as in, I'll hold this one up here. If you could see this. It's a nice, this is great if you want to frame your artwork. This is also good if you want to do that for gift giving. Maybe you want to make a stand-up card or even a card as for a gift or even for yourself. So you can leave the contact paper there. You see how it has like a muted shine to it. And then under this, as an added thing, you can lift it and you can even put some more decorative pieces, some dried pressed flowers maybe, or some of your own artwork underneath that and protect it with the contact paper. So that is an option you have. Or you can put the contact paper over your design and cut out the excess contact paper just like that and make it the size of the template that you drew by hand or cut out. So those are some options that you have. And let me just make sure. Yeah, so that's the cover book page. Okay, so laying and cutting the contact paper is going to be the next step. So what you want to do is take your contact paper. So in this, with this, I'm going to show you, we're going to cover the heart that I made, and I'm going to be cutting off the excess. So take your contact paper, or if you have what your materials from home, you can use your tape here. If you don't have our kit and you're using clear packing tape, the one thing I would suggest is to be mindful of where you're sticking the tape. So again, if you're going to take tape and cover your page, the tape's going to stick to whatever you have underneath. So if you just be mindful, maybe put a piece of paper under there so the excess tape sticks to that, and then you can always cut off the excess later on. Just like I'll be cutting off my excess contact paper. So I'm going to pull apart the whole contact paper, and I'm going to lay it over my page. Please know that this will not be very forgiving. So you want to lay it slowly and carefully. It might have wrinkles. You can lift it and reposition it. It might be easier to work from one side to the other. If you've ever put a screensaver on a smartphone, it's kind of similar to that. Only this you can relift and replace if you need to. Okay, so I'm just going to lay it right on top and just move it out there. And then you can cut off the excess contact paper. If you're choosing to cut off the excess paper, again, here is a completed one. Go ahead and begin cutting around the page now and just remove the excess contact paper. With or without our kit, you also have the option to glue your template design onto the back of the paper, so that depending on what you're doing with your design, maybe you don't want that back there. So you can glue, that's what the optional glue is for, to glue your template to the back of your design. So we're going to cut this out, and after this, we're going to go on to our embellishments. And yes, this can be sticky, as you can see. Great. Okay, so here is my design here. And here's where I'm going to take out some embellishments. Now those would be, see, I have some excess space here. I'm going to choose to put a butterfly there, just to take up some of the white space, maybe that is in that area. And again, you are the author of this page, so if there's something else you want to add, you could always lift that. You can draw something there if you'd like also. So those are our embellishments. Okay, so next what we're going to do is add some string for hanging the template or hanging our altered page. There are some options here too with our string. Do you want 2 holes such as this right here? Do you want 1 hole to maybe hang it more on an angle where it's going to dangle a little differently? Do you want to make a bow tie with some of the ribbon that you have? In that case, what you're going to do with a bow tie is you're going to make 2 holes closer together so that you can string shoelace almost your ribbon or string through it to make the bow tie close together. So to make holes with scissors, a little trick is you can partly fold your design just a little bit, but not so tightly, and you're going to make a tiny diagonal cut. You could see that, and then just opposite that, you're going to make another diagonal cut, and you're almost going to have like a little triangle that pops out, And that's going to make somewhat of an oval shape in your design. And if you're choosing to do one on the other side, again, I'll show you that. You're going to make just a slight fold, a diagonal cut, and a diagonal cut on the other side. And that little piece should pop right out. And you have another hole right there. So that is one way to make holes with your scissors so you're not biting and struggling to push through. And then pull with your string choice through the holes. Okay. So you're just going to pull it through one side, and you just have to make a knot depending on the size of the string that you're using. You may have to make two depending on the hole, because what you don't want to happen is for this to come through here like this. And then we're going to string the other through the other side and just make a simple knot. Okay. Through there. And then I have my hanging. So in mine, my book says laughter and music best capture the heart. And those were just words that kind of came out while I was circling. And how are you all doing with your pages? If anyone has any that they'd like to turn their camera on and share, that would be great. Those that follow along the video after the fact, you're welcome to please post them also on our page. Oh, that's beautiful. Care to share your words with us?
Yeah. It says, I do not judge the interrogatory oblivion. We cannot help observing because I understand it was by design.
So Tyler did what I did here. You blacked out unwanted words and highlighted also the words that you wanted to stand out. That's great. So we've completed all the steps in the craft, and I want to thank you, Tyler, for enlightening us today on mental health and suicide prevention. Is there anything else that you would like to add for us?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I just want to also always remind everybody that there is never any shame in seeking help, whether it's from friends, family, a professional, 988, or any other crisis hotline or other resource. It is always okay to ask for help.
Great. I might continue to just go over and show some more of the ripping of the pages. So here is one where I couldn't quite find any other words really that stood out for me. So I just did just a few, and I figured I was just going to like kind of rip it on my own. Like that. Actually, there's a lot of book art out there also. So if you really love this craft and decide that you want to continue further into altered books or even looking into book art, there's so much that people do with book art today as a craft. So there's actual, I'll just share. There's if you have like a favorite page, a favorite poem, you can actually use that as your like some kind of shape that might be meaningful to that poem and make a nice shape out of it, just like this bird here. I thought that was really interesting. There's a lot that people are doing with book pages nowadays, and especially if it is something meaningful for to you and for everyone. So any questions from anyone? No questions. Great. I'd love to see your altered books, and if anyone cares to share and show them on our YouTube channel, that would be awesome. So thank you, Tyler, and thank you to the crafters today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stacy and Tyler. And again, thank you to all our wonderful crafters here today. We hope that you will continue to learn more about suicide prevention, and to help, we'll actually be sending our event video and infographic in a follow-up email by the end of next week, which we encourage you to share with others. Also, please consider committing to a weekly act centered on suicide prevention. Getting informed by coming to this event is a great way to start, but we also encourage you to research some notable people such as Sylvia Plath and Kevin Hines. We ask that you commit to a weekly act to help raise mental health awareness and support suicide prevention, to better understand the butterfly effect and how one small action can make a huge difference, such as asking loved ones how you can support them and making it a point to talk about and support mental health awareness. And also be sure to share our infographic. Our email will include another brief survey of what you thought of the event itself. Please take the time to respond, as your feedback is very important to us. And this is different from the survey you'll get in the email, but there's actually going to be a poll that should come up right now, just to ask you some questions about today's event. Our schedule for the year is posted on our website. Again, that's www.informyourcommunity.org. Tickets, materials, and shipping are free for our online crafting events, so please sign up. And remember, only those who signed up a week before the events will receive the kits mailed to their homes. Our next event is a Much to Discuss event on food waste on Thursday, October 9th at 6:30 p.m. And to look for and learn about other Inform Your Community events besides our Craftivism program, but other events like our Celebrate and Create, our Popcorn and Chat movie nights, our Much to Discuss speaker panels, you can visit our website. Again, if you're watching this video on YouTube, please be sure to like our video, comment on it, and subscribe to our channel. Also, please consider donating to cover the cost of the materials and shipping if you can afford it, as it helps keep our events free for those who can't. And lastly, I just want to thank you again for coming and helping inform your own communities based on what you learned today. Have a great rest of your night, and thank you.